Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money Mondays. My name is Paul Johnson. I am the Director of Economic and Community Development here at GPCOG.
And I am Belinda Ray. I am the Director of Strategic Initiatives here at GPCOG.
And it looks like I have a headless dog in my lap, which is kind of weird. So,
I know, I
uh,
don't know why his head won't stay.
yeah. All right, I am ready. Today's topic I have is not about money, so my apologies. But it is a worthwhile topic. It's a civility retreat. And at GPCOG, we talk about this quite often. It is a very common request amongst our member municipalities as far as workshops are concerned about how to communicate with each other, how to function as a governing body, how to engage in your public, and how to, let's say, deal and manage with some of the current local political environment. So with that, I thought I would do a quick plug of the Civility Retreat. It is, I believe, this coming Thursday, Belinda. It is put on by the Maine Development Foundation, and wonky formatting there. But it's a half-day retreat, and Belinda and I both may have mentioned before, we have both attended what's called Leadership Maine through the Maine Development Foundation. They do very good work. This type of work is right in their wheelhouse. So I would suggest it is worthwhile. If there's something on your staff, if you have a communication director, this is a great use of 4 hours of their time. And MDF, usually when they say coffee and breakfast, you're gonna get decent breakfast. They usually feed people. I hope they do this time because I'm always impressed with their food. And the good news is, next slide, Belinda, is it's pretty close. It's located right in Saco. So it's this Thursday, June 11th. It's only a half day. It's a topic that is probably one of the most requested topics we have at GPCOG here. I'm sure MDF here is the same thing. You do not have to be a member of MDF to register. It's only, I think it's only $45 for non-members. So I would say value-wise, money-wise, since it's Money Mondays, I'd say $45 is some pretty good bang for your buck. It's close by if you're here in Cumberland County. As always, I put the link directly into the registration in the description. But it's probably a Thursday morning, very well spent, particularly for communication directors, maybe a council chair, maybe a member of staff that deals with the public quite a bit. It's worth it. They don't come around very often. So I encourage you to come check it out. And Belinda, I think we should probably send somebody from GPCOG. I think I sent it to you guys last night, but I will make sure somebody
Oh,
registers. So,
yeah. I
yep,
had seen that. That would be good to send
yep.
someone from GPCOG. Yeah, definitely. And
And
you did include money. You got the money in there, Paul.
correct, right. It's right. It's value, right? You
Yeah,
can't afford not to go to this,
it's
right?
true.
Because of the value.
Yes, exactly. Well done. Well done. Okay, so I first wanted to let people know that the Main Trails program has extended their deadline. It was supposed to be June 26th. They're giving you an extra, what would that be? Close to 3 weeks, 3 weeks about to get that application in. So if you were thinking about it and then you were like, we're not going to make it, maybe you can make it. So just a quick refresher. I did cover this on the February 23rd episode of Money Mondays. You can get the link to that episode right there. All of those details are still correct, minus the deadline will have changed. But the basic idea, it's a max of $250,000. They're going to fund up to 8 projects in this round. The grant covers 90% of project costs, and this is for work on trails, motorized, non-motorized, multi-use trails. It's a good application process, and you can find out everything you need to know in the previous Money Mondays webinar. And then for today, Grants for Arts project. This is something we've covered before too, but it has changed quite a bit this year. Not quite a bit. It's changed a bit. So I thought I would go over this one. This is the FY27 edition of this GAP funding, Grants for Arts projects. Eligibility, it is open to nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3s, but also units of state or local government, including school districts and federally recognized tribes. They've added a couple of things this year. You have to have an operating budget of at least 20K. You still have to have that 5-year history of arts program, but we'll talk about that in a second. You need your sam.gov registration. You can only put in one application. There is a caveat there that if you are an independent component of a parent organization, if the parent organization puts in an app, you may also put in an app. Speaking of that 5-year history of arts program, consider partners. So if you do not have that history, now if you're a school, you're going to have that history because you have an art program. But if you don't, if you're a municipality and you don't have arts history, a history of arts programming, look at the arts organizations around and get them to apply, and then it will benefit your community. You can have a partnership there. The priorities, they want you, you don't have to do this, but they encourage you to focus on one or more of the administration priorities, and we're just going to talk about those. So if it's something that is in collaboration with or led by one of these groups, that is fulfilling one of the administration priorities. If it supports arts and health programs, including creative art therapies, especially things for people involved in the military, patients in treatment for pediatric cancer care and other childhood diseases, opioid use prevention, people with autism spectrum disorder or intellectual disabilities, and older adults. So arts and health programs for these groups. Other priorities include intersecting with activities celebrating the 2028 games in Los Angeles, probably not going to happen for us. Sustain creative work or careers for people with disabilities through employment training, technical assistance, and capacity building. Address disaster relief and emergency response preparedness for artists and arts organizations, houses of worship. Involve AI, this administration really pushing the AI. So if you get AI into your arts project somehow, that's helpful. Something that will help with skilled trade jobs that are at the intersection of arts and non-arts sectors and industries, or something to make the District of Columbia safe and beautiful. So some of these aren't going to apply locally. If you can work one of these things into your program, it will give you a boost. You're not required, you don't have to, but it's helpful when they're scoring grant apps. If they're choosing between you and someone else and you have a priority, you might win out. So this funds projects in 13 different subcategories that are listed here. They've combined some this year and they eliminated a couple. So these are the categories that are available. There's another page. Also this page. And I like to point out that one of these, so arts education, this is good for your school districts. One of these is the Our Town grant has been pushed into one of these buckets. And to remind you what Our Town is, it's a creative placemaking grant program. And so you know, when you're doing these creative parklets or these temporary art installations, those kinds of things qualify, things that kind of bring your community together, create a place, create interest. The creative bus shelters in Portland did get a grant for this, and you can find out more there. If you want to submit for this, it's a two-step process. So part one is that you have to submit a basic form on grants.gov by July 9th. And this is just the basic program information. And the reason they do that is to make sure that you'll have all the right templates in your grants.gov workspace when you complete the application. The portal then opens on July 14th, and that's when you can start putting your information in there, and you have to finish within a week. You can access templates with questions and everything in advance, so you can prepare in advance, but that's your timeline. So the funding here, the minimum is 10,000, the maximum is 100,000. It varies by which discipline you are applying in. Generally, they are from 10 to 100,000, but there's a challenge grant that is just 10K flat. And then there's a local arts agencies discipline, which can range from 30 to 150. That's separate from the other GAP grant disciplines, but it's included here. It's a one-to-one match. You do have to be able to supply half of your project funding. You can get the other half through this grant. You don't have to have funds committed when you apply. So if you think you can get the money, but you don't have it yet, you can apply and you can say where you think that funding is going to come from, and it's okay if you secure it later. If you were to get the grant, the earliest your project could start is next June 2027, and it can go for up to 2 years, but that's intended to allow you to start the planning June 1st, execute it, and then close it out all in a 2 year period. Really good success rate here. They anticipate 4,000 applications. They anticipate funding 2,000 of them. It's a 4 on the difficulty because once you identify your discipline, there's a portal that'll walk you through the whole thing, and there's a PDF that gives step-by-step instructions for that. So again, the deadline for the first basic form with like your organization information, your basic information, the project name, that's all you need to put that into the portal on July 9th on grants.gov. And then the final application will be due on July 21st. You can visit the website to learn more. There's a 6-minute video that gives you information about what has changed for FY27. The grant FAQs have a lot of good information. And on this resource page, this applicant's resources page, there are video tutorials galore. You can look through all of these and get information about how to fill out your grant, which is really excellent. Also, always good to look at recent awards, although this will be kind of a new judging cycle, new priorities. So the past awards might not necessarily indicate the future awards, but good to look at them. And then again, that there's a Money Mondays on Our Town from 2024 that covers that one more in depth. That is our Money Mondays for today, Monday, June 8th. And thank you everyone for joining us. And we'll be back next week, won't we, Paul?
We will, because if it's money, money, then it's Mondays.
And if it's Monday, then it is money.
Goodbye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Have a good week.